Yeah, I do have a question about like things that change
Well,
besides the hormones, and I think I want to
don't
talk
jump
about
into that just yet.
this can get cut
Are we
out. I'm
doing
just
it? Are we
I
doing
mean,
it?
we're
We
recording
going in?
everything. You know what? I think
Of
we
course
should
we're
stop talking.
recording.
I think,
We should just that's going to be great for the podcast.
yeah,
Let's
that's gonna be
just
great.
stop talking.
Let's just stop talking. You know what? Why don't I
Just
do
kind
the
of
intro?
sit here for a minute
Why don't I just do the
in
intro?
silence.
Let's sit here and
I don't think we should do the intro.
you
I don't
said
think we should talk
I
at
think
all.
we just talked about doing the intro every time.
Yeah, but you just brought up this radical new idea of not talking during the podcast, and that I want to give that a shot.
This is Girl Dick with Ted Cruz.
Ladies, gentlemen, and friends beyond the binary, welcome to Girl Dick with Ted Cruz, starring Lilith Electra Zarling, Amanda Bonanza, and esteemed Republican Senator from the great state of Texas, your host, Ted Theodore Cruz.
I'm Lilith Zarling. That's Amanda Bonanza. You know what we do. We answer questions from trans people about being trans and about life in general. And we try to help. And we've used our collective talents, our collective lives of suffering and artistic expression to bring help to those who need it. That's too much. Let's just say we're just trying to
I think
survive.
that's great.
I think we're just two trans girls trying to survive the end of the world, and we want to help you do it too.
I mean, that's also good.
That is really good.
I know.
That is really good.
It's pretty apocalyptic back here, I'll tell you.
Look at it's fall back here.
Know.
All right,
but it's
also
not
like
real.
I know I didn't want to talk
real.
about it. I know I didn't want to talk about it, but I fucking have to address my eyebrows because I did just for the people watching. You've probably been watching all the episodes. You're just like, whoa, something fierce is happening here. And I have a friend, and does cosmetic tattooing, and my eyebrows always used to just disappear around the mid market. I'm like, can we do something to fix that? And I just had it done yesterday, so that's why it's like super dark. So it's going to become a little more natural, a little more close to my own whatever color this is. Really,
you've kind of got a lot of colors going on.
I
got a little rainbow bright shit happening.
Yeah, rainbow bright, but it's just blonde and gray. But there's gonna
to it.
Yeah, this is gonna go a little lighter and match everything else. But I just, now that I'm like on here and like talking, like how, like, man, when they were doing the tattoos, they're like, I love to talk when I'm doing my tattoos, but I'm gonna ask you not to say anything because you're so expressive when you talk that
you can't be moving your eyebrows around while they're tattooing your eyebrows.
Look at that eyebrow, man.
I know.
Yeah.
You're ready.
Oh, I'm ready for everything. This bitch is ready.
Look at Eugene Levy, step aside.
No, come on. We talked about this. It's definitely a Yoko Ono vibe, which isn't much better. Eugene Levy. If they were Eugene Levy's, they'd be like up to here.
I know, they're just like three-dimensional.
Yeah,
like they're just like, popping out.
That was kind of
6 inches in front of his head.
That was kind of rude. I think that was my fear. I didn't want to do it.
Two actual caterpillars.
I don't want to look like Eugene Levy, and that's like the first place you went. The first place you went was the one thing I feared the most of doing this.
But you look so good. You don't look like Eugene Levy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I forgot to talk about how famous we are, by this episode. Like, where it's just like, I mean, oh my God. Like, I didn't think it was real. Paparazzi, it's mad. It's mad. Like, it's like I can't leave my house. I have to wear a disguise to go get groceries. But I say that like, let me rephrase that. I would have to wear a disguise to go get groceries if I got my own groceries, but I don't do that. I've got someone for that. Yeah. I have my assistant do that, and they go to like Trader Moe's or wherever. Like, I don't even know what a grocery store is anymore. Like, I don't even know. Like, it's just like, I just make sure, like, if food's not in my house, I yell at somebody and I fire them.
And you get it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, I mean, kind of joking about like not being able to leave the house because of paparazzi, but chances are like in 2 months we won't be able to leave the house because Kiwi Farms is doxed us and there's just cars driving around our house all the time. This is the episode where we had to stop. We had to turn off comments on all of it. They're like, yeah, you guys
I'm
need to turn
pretty
off
sure we
comments.
did that on the first episode.
We have to pay someone just to
I
monitor.
never even looked at the comments, never once. Like I never bothered because I know what's in there. Like I know what's in there.
Not reading the comments is self-care. You never have to read the comments.
Exactly. You don't read the comments.
If a trans person wins an award, if they get some recognition, just read the story about their recognition of their award.
That's trans YouTubing 101 is don't read the comments.
Yeah, who cares? We feel the love. I feel the love from the people who love us, and I don't care about the people who don't love us. So.
And we love you right back, just so you know.
Yeah, but we will have to start hiring someone to go through the Gmail account to like.
Oh, we're just gonna have to say, we can't do that. We can't do that ourselves.
Here's $10 a month. Just throw out all the shit that's threats, and we'll take the question. You want me to go first, or you?
Yeah, why don't you take it away? Why don't you take this one?
This one's good. This one kind of pissed me off, but it's a good question. So the title is. Would I be in the wrong if I tried to pressure my family into allowing me to use insurance and money they gifted me on top surgery? And here, this is about 3 paragraphs. I am 23 and currently living with my family. They are okay with me getting top surgery, but would have to be by my own financial means. I can't use insurance for my top surgery, even though I have one that would cover it. And recently, my family gave me and my siblings enough money to get top surgery, except it came with the stipulation I could not use it for that. I have been very respectful of their wishes, not fighting them on it, and simply stating I don't like it, but I'm starting to feel more and more pressure, dysphoria, time, etc. about my chest. I feel like the chances of me getting hurt by someone in public is raised significantly, and I don't feel like I can live my life until I get top surgery. We've gone through a lot to avoid debt, but I think I'll be starting the process of getting a credit score and taking out a loan so that I can get the surgery. If I told them how much higher of a risk there is when going in places in the countryside or at night, and how I'll essentially be destroying years of effort to get the surgery, I think they might change their mind out of the possibility of at least letting me use the insurance for it. I won't do anything behind their backs, but having that resource would help a lot. So you have thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts.
First of all, I don't understand you have insurance that will cover it, but you can't use it. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, if they're 23, under Obamacare, you can be covered until you're 26. So if they are living at home and 23, they can be covered by their family's insurance.
Yeah, but their family has no say in what that insurance is used for. There's still doctor-client privilege. Insurance is insurance. That
is the first thing. What you do with your doctor, if insurance covers it,
they can't stop you. Your parents have no say whatsoever in what happens with your doctor or your insurance. And I'm bringing this up because I've heard this before.
Yeah.
I think there's this impression with trans people especially, but I think people in general, because no one really understands how insurance and medicine works in the United States, because it's so fucking stupid and convoluted and
ridiculous.
Terrible.
Yeah.
But there are a couple things that everyone needs to know, and especially trans people need to know, which is that if you are an adult, if you are a legal adult, 18, and it might even extend beyond that, but I'm certain it's 18. If you're 18 years old or older, your parents have no say whatsoever in your medical anything. They can't, you don't need their permission. You do not need to ask them. They can't stop you. They can't even know about what you talk about with your doctor. That's doctor-client privilege. That shit's protected by every law there is, and that's every state.
Yeah.
That's federal. There is nowhere you could go. There's no red. It doesn't matter how red the state is. They can't do that. They can't stop you from getting the thing. So that idea right there, out of the gate, if your insurance covers it, then get it done. Then use it. That your parents can't stop you. They can't know about it. Unless you let them or you tell them. But I'm sure they would find out if you got top surgery. But
probably a little hard to hide.
Probably. But it depends how perceptive they are. Quite frankly, parents that are in this camp tend to not be fucking paying attention. So it's but that's one thing. So I am going to take this on also a little tributary here, because this is important.
You always do.
But this is, I do. I
You do.
always do.
You love the tributaries. I love it too.
But
Yeah.
this one specifically, so that's insurance. The other thing I want to tell all you younger trans people out there is your relationship with your doctor. You don't have to have the doctor that you have. Like, you can have any doctor you want. And I think a lot of trans people especially, but a lot of younger people see doctors as authority figures and think doctors are there to tell them what they can and can't do, and like, this is your doctor and I have to do what my doctor says. None of that's true. Your doctor is an employee. Your doctor is someone you hire to do a job for you, and that job is ensuring your health. Now, obviously, you can't go into a doctor and say, I want heroin, like, give me heroin or you're fired. I mean, you could do that, and then you can fire your doctor, but you're not going to find any doctor that's going to give you heroin. However, well, maybe
not anymore.
But yeah, but like, this is especially true with transgender people because we require very specific care. And most doctors don't know about it. Like, you really do need a specialist. And what I would recommend to each and every one of you, and it's not always the easiest thing to do, but you try and find a general practitioner that is also a transgender care specialist. They do exist. They might be hard to find, and they're probably harder to find the redder your state is, but they exist and you can find them. And if your doctor is inhibiting your progress, is slowing down your transition, is telling you you need paperwork because you don't,
yeah,
it's telling you need doctors or letters of approval, or you need to see a psychologist to get on HRT, or you need to quit smoking, or you need to do whatever, you need to lose weight. I've heard that. Yeah. None of that's true. None of that's right. None of that's legal. Like, they can't do that. Like, they can not give it to you, but that's your doctor not knowing what the deal is and also gatekeeping you. And as soon as your doctor gets in the way of your transition, you need to fire that doctor and you need to get a better doctor and find one that will. And it's hard and it's scary, but you can't keep a doctor that doesn't know what they're doing, because this is super important.
Something I want to add to that, and it's because I don't know if you've seen this online. Someone had put together like a great resource of, like, it's like an active map that you could search your area and find like gender physicians and places to get HRT and things like that. Unfortunately, like, the far right has done that and they've started harassing those clinics. But one thing I encourage everyone to do, and I do this, and I actually was talking about this, someone with this yesterday, I try to be, and every trans person do this, is like, be a resource for other trans people. So if a trans person reaches out to me and they're like, I need electrolysis, I need someone I need someone to give me a haircut that matches my gender, who's also like you don't want to walk into a random barber shop, and ask for things like
Supercuts.
Right. Where can I get HRT? Where can who can I talk to as doctor? Like, what's a good doctor? And so, like, I try to make sure that, like, I have these resources, and I tell the people, like, person does my electrolysis, like, any trans person asks, I'm sending them your way, and having those resources for people, because we're living in an age now where there is disinformation out there. It's just like, when people want to go to an abortion clinic and they end up at some super Christian place that makes you watch videos about anti-abortion and stuff. So it's like, be that resource for people in your community and let people know. And also, it is funny you mentioned that. Like, when I moved kind of the suburbs and was looking for a doctor, and someone at Planned Parenthood, where I go and get my services, they were like, have you found a trans friendly? And you know me, I'm like, I had not even thought about that. I'm like, I'm going to find a doctor. I'm going to walk in their fucking office and they're going to take care of me. And if they don't, that's the end of it. But my doctor, is fabulous. But, like, you do have those considerations. Like we say, all the time, it's like, do what's best for you. If you don't feel like you're getting that with a doctor, if you have other trans friends, reach out to where they are. If there's a Planned Parenthood or some place that does HRT services, contact them and see if they know anyone. But yeah, what's going on between you and your doctor and your insurance is between you, your doctor, and your insurance. I think the main thing here is this person wants to be respectful of their parents' wishes. They don't want to lie to their parents, which is a completely separate thing. When you like, can I take my insurance and can I take this money and go get this surgery? Fuck yeah, you can. And I would say if that's what you want to do, then you should do that. I've never heard I've never given anyone money and said like, here's a birthday present, but here's a list of things you can't spend it on.
That's the thing is like it's so weird to have that caveat. It's like, but I mean, that is between you and your parents, and you're
that's
young
the thing.
You probably still live with your parents. It's like,
they still live with their family, and I think that's the thing is like, how do you avoid if you want to have that conversation, I was like, I always say, especially when it comes to being trans and having conversations, be as honest as you can, and all these things you mentioned about how it's a safety thing. It's
all super legitimate. It is a safety thing.
And it's a mental thing as well. Like, having that is going to help you mentally. It's clearly something that you're fighting. It causes dysphoria emotionally.
It's super important. And cis people don't understand, a lot of cis people don't understand that stuff. And especially it's like if your parents are against, like, if they, like they're here's where it gets confusing for me, because like the question asker is like, well, they're accepting, but they're not accepting on the physical changes part. It's like, well, then they're not accepting. Then they're not accepting. Like then they're not. Like, there is no middle ground. This isn't something that you negotiate and find a compromise with. Like, this is not up for discussion. Like, if you're trans, you need certain things, like you need HRT and you need surgeries. These surgeries are not cosmetic. They're it's no different. Getting top surgery is no different than getting a skin graft if you've been in a fire. Like, it's no different. Like, it's the same thing. It's not cosmetic, and like it's necessary. It's functional. These are functional surgeries, and like, they're not optional for some people. Like, it's like different. There's varying degrees, but if you're in the camp where it's like you can't be happy unless you have this surgery, then you need the surgery. Like, that's the thing. And all of that aside,
I would say it's like, have that conversation with your parents.
That's where I was going to go with it.
I would also say, there are places out there, we always talk about, other people, that you're going through a big thing, and other people are like, that's a lot of change for your parents. Like, support groups for parents are important. And like, there's one, and honestly, I'm just going to give their name because I think they're fabulous, and most of their stuff is online right now, but reach out to a place called He She Z We. It's spelled just like it sounds. HESEG.
They're gonna love that one.
He She Z We, and reach out to them. They're based here in Virginia where I am, but they do work with parents, and they work with parents who are not supportive. And they reach out and they talk to them and kind of help them understand. But I think that's the thing is, like, we live in a world where so few people know about trans people, and everything they know about them is fear driven from outside forces who are using this as a political narrative as opposed to a healthcare narrative. They're weaponizing it on a fear-based thing. So, your parents are taking all that. And honestly, I hear a lot of times where, like, my parents, not my parents, but parents in general, like, I want to support my kid, but I'm also worried about them living in the world. Like, well, worrying about them living in the world isn't telling your kids to not be who they are. It's about doing the things you can to change the world. And the world is what we make it. And I think if you're a parent who is telling your child not to do this because you're worried about their safety, you're not doing your children any favors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also like, not doing it is incredibly dangerous. Like, it's like, it's just, and it's probably misguided. Like, I mean, I don't want to make assumptions about your parents, but like that's the thing is, like, they are at best, they are coming from a place that is misinformed. At best, likely they're not into it. Is what it really sounds like to me. And so, like, here is my little bit of advice. Here is first and foremost, what Lilith said. It's time to rehab this conversation with them. You need to reopen this bag and you need to sit down with them and like have a serious talk, because I don't know when the last time you did that. Maybe when you came out. I don't know how long ago that was, but clearly things have changed. And that's part of it. The part of the process is it's transitioning. Like, you do change, like it changes, everything changes. It's a transition. It is change. And so like when you start out, like you don't have the same mindset as you do when you get a couple years in and your priorities shift, and what the vision of like what you need becomes clearer over time. And you are at this point where the initial agreement that you made with your parents, for whatever reason, out of survival, out of convenience, out of like whatever thing, it's no longer working for you, and you need to renegotiate your contract.
Yeah.
Now, what you also need to do, because you have to have an escape hatch, and you have to like reiterating, there is no room for compromise here. Your parents do not get a say in how your transition goes. This is your life, and it's your body, and it's your experience. It's not theirs. And whatever they feel about it, like, yeah, it makes a difference, but it's irrelevant. That like their feelings are not the issue here. Like, and you want to get along with your parents, and I understand that, and everyone does, but you can't compromise your own personal bodily autonomy for the sake of your parents' belief system. Like, that's insane. Like, that's, I mean, not to say that you're insane, but like that concept is just bonkers. It's bad shit. Like, and you can't do it. So the other thing, like, Lilith, why don't you jump in here? Because I have one more thing to say, but like,
one thing we always talk about is like, we can't assess what your situation is from here.
Right.
If your situation is you're 23 and you're going to have to live with your parents until you're 26 and until you're off their insurance, then if that's what you have to do, and if you do all this, you'll get kicked out and you'll be homeless. Like, you have to assess how far you can go. There's nothing that says that you can't put this money in a separate savings account and go get your own job and your own health insurance. And that might take you 2-3 years. But it's about setting that plan, knowing what's possible for you. I would never tell anyone to do what I did. They have to find their way. That's an essential thing with all of this, is like, you have to figure out what's best for you. If you feel like you can be like, hey, fuck y'all, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to move out of the house, I'm going to be fine on my own, then you can do that. But if you don't feel you can do that, and you're going to have to wait 2 or 3 years, if that's what you decide, just know that future is there for you. And like, yes, it sucks, but also, you're going to get there. I'd hate to see that, like, you derailed a part of your life because you had to push this off, and just realize that, like, you're just going to go out there the next day. And I know there's safety issues. You just have to be safer, but you have to assess what's possible for you. And at the end of the day, like, if you have the money, if you have the insurance, you should be able to do it. If you feel personally you don't want to have that you don't want to do that and risk your relationship with your parents, then that's a decision you have to make.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
that's really all it is like, you have to assess your situation, what's your responsible. Also, you also mentioned that you're in the process of getting a credit score. I'm pretty sure everyone just has a credit score. And credits, I think people don't understand, credit scores were only invented in like the late 80s.
Yeah,
there's another thing to, like, when people are mad at boomers, it's like, yeah, they created this credit score to fuck Gen X and all the generations afterwards.
You can't blame boomers on that. That was the financial industry, like
run by boomers at the time.
Run by boomers, but
boomers.
Yeah,
you can just stop it. Yeah, you had one last thing, and then we'll move on.
One last thing. The age that this question asker is, did I hear 23?
23.
23 is a great time. That's a perfect age to move out of your parents' house. That's a really good age to get your own place. So you're going to want to have sex. You're going to want to be your own person. Like, it's time. Once you're not living at your parents' house, and I understand everyone's got a different situation.
I just said you have to read your own situation. But yeah, sex in your 20s is amazing.
But what I'm saying is 23 is it's a really good time to move out and get your own place. This is the time that it should be done. So what I would advise is start talking to your peer groups and find out about like what your living situation could be. It doesn't mean you have to act on it, but you should start exploring your options with that and find out about that, because you're going to find, like, if you lived your whole life in your parents' house, like, then you've lived under their rules. There's that old, Al Bundy said it, my house, my roof. You live under my roof, you're going to follow my rules. That thing, your parents are strict about that to varying degrees, but it's always there. You're living in someone else's house. And eventually, one of the things that you're going to find if you're trans and your parents aren't 100% supportive, which yours are not, like, if that's the case, you're going to move to a place where they are, and everything is going to change, and it's going to change for the better. You need to be around supportive people that support you unconditionally, and not people that are giving you ultimatums and, well, you can go here, and trying to compromise your things. And I'm not saying you should destroy your relationship with your parents. Absolutely not. But it's time to start looking. So that's my advice, is go out into the world and see what it has to offer.
Like I said, without, I can't give advice without knowing your situation. So you have to assess what's best for you. But yeah, moving out is great.
How old were you when you moved out of your parents' house?
23.
I was 23. It's like,
so have the top surgery. That's
get your top surgery.
Yeah, get your top surgery. Yeah.
Move out.
Move to Milwaukee, get your top surgery. Get
out of your parents' house and get your fucking top surgery.
Yeah, lay in a public park with your shirt off and just feel the cool breeze on your nips.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's the best advice we've ever given.
It really is. So I guess we're done here.
I guess we solved this problem. You got one for me. Let me hear it.
I do. So, mid-sex, this is the title. So, mid-sex, my wife said she wished I was a woman. ... And I realized I would be completely fine with that.
Is that in the text? In the title, there's like,
it's question marks.
Just a question mark. Okay.
I would be completely fine with that.
Yeah.
Question mark. I guess. I realized that.
Yeah.
My wife is bi. I have known that since before she became my wife. Well, more than a decade ago. My issue is based on second incidents of her saying out loud she wished I was a woman. In her words, I wish you were a girl right now. Not safe for work, and I was fine with it. So here I am now, feeling like a dude, fine with being AMAB, yet feeling oddly fine about this demand, and feeling thrilled, capitalized and italicized, about also being called, quote, one of the girls, quote, by her friends a few times. I got invited to a female only, except me, question mark, friends meetup for a male to female coming out friends party deal.
Yeah.
Thinking about it makes my heart beat fast. It was a year ago. Yet I really don't think I am trans. I'm sorry to laugh.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of rude, but
Insert weird out of body and in a different body, maybe dreams here extensively. Now I feel like I am man while awake and woman while asleep in some ways. I dream about female perspectives about interacting with myself. I legit don't know what to do with myself. I have no desire to transition. Feel like I am in the right body and don't feel dysphoric. Yet love being called one of the girls and know with certainty that if I woke up as a woman tomorrow, I would think it was cool. Or at least I would care overly much. And if I were changed back, I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to do with myself. Yeah. Thoughts, criticism, sarcasm, humor, advice appreciated, blah, blah. Kind of feeling unstable in their self-identity department.
Okay.
Gender agnostic, question mark?
They said humor was fine, so I guess it's okay you laugh. So, it doesn't sound like you're transgender, but also it sounds like you're gender fluid.
Is that really what you got from that?
I mean, if they're fine where they're at, like, I think this is a shock. It's a conversation to have with your wife. It's like, it doesn't sound like there's any desire to transition. Doesn't feel like there is dysphoria. It seems like, I mean, there are people who cross dress and have a second persona and are gender fluid. And I don't want to use the term two spirit, because I think, one, that's a native thing, and I think it's overused by people who aren't native. But I think it's possible to have that. And I had friends who used to call me a gender walker because I was just as comfortable shifting between both of them, or at least they thought I really was not as comfortable.
Were you though?
No, I just said that. I said I really wasn't.
And that's where I'm going.
But I never would have. But even when I first came out and I didn't transition because I thought I was too old to start hormones and stuff. I never said that I'd be fine either way. Like, this is definitely what I want. If you don't want this, here's what I say: start by exploring. Like, you don't have to know if you're transgender right now. Start exploring and seeing where it goes. And it might be great that, like, if you and your wife have girls' nights out where you dress up, she helps you with your makeup, you get clothes, and you live that privately or as publicly as you want, that's fine. If you're also fine then going to work 9 to 5 as who you are right now as a dude, like, that's 100% possible. And you can live your life that way and be happy because you're getting the two things you think are fine. But I would say it's a case where you should explore and just see where you end up. And then also just be open to the fact that, like, if you do feel you're transgender, then open to having that conversation. Here's the question to ask your wife is, you said several times, I wish you were a woman, but does that mean that, what about the time she doesn't say that? And she's glad you're a man? Like, it might be a case where, like, if you want to explore gender and that's just where you end up, that you love flowing between the two, and your wife is bi and does, like, sometimes this and sometimes that, man, that'd be fabulous. But I would say explore it, come up with plans for your wife to explore it, how you want to do that, but I'll just be ready for whatever that leads to. But I would say, like, I can only do with what was read to us and what you wrote. It doesn't sound like, it sounds like this is being triggered by something your wife said. It doesn't sound like, like, we both have things when, like, I was 7 or 8, I knew I was trans. So it might not be a case where you're trans, but just explore it. And I think part of what I love about the trans revolution, or however you want to word it, is that people are free to explore gender even if they're not trans. And I think that's the beautiful thing, is explore who you are and explore your gender. And that's why we were put on this planet, to explore what it means to be human and what our best life is. And
Absolutely.
Not necessarily being on the gender binary, being I have to transition to a woman or I have to be a guy, and playing with that is one of the amazing things about where we are in time right now.
It is true.
Yeah.
And that's so well said, Lilith. I gotta
Thank
say,
you.
that's, like, so comprehensive, and it's so right on the money too.
Yeah.
That's not what I was gonna say.
I know you're gonna say, here's why you're wrong, and then you're gonna say all this stuff, and then at the end you're like, well, I guess you were kind of right.
No, I'm not gonna say that you were wrong, because you're not wrong. You're actually more right than me.
Yeah.
But I am gonna go out and like a slightly different space and say that, like, whether or not, like, all that stuff, like, like, maybe it's time to experiment. Definitely all that's true. Definitely talk to your wife more about it, and, like, tell her exactly what you wrote in this question, because, like, I mean, all that stuff. So she sounds like she'd be thrilled. And that's going to be great for the both of you. Honestly, that's wonderful.
I'm jealous.
You're trans as fuck. Like, all that shit that you wrote, all that is egg rhetoric. That is just textbook, but like, that's the kind of stuff that I told myself, like, before I came out, to keep myself okay with not transitioning. Those are the exact, for in my case, maybe they're not in your case, lies that I told myself to make me be okay with it. Yeah. Like, but the reality was, it was not at all true. None of that was the case. That's me. That I am very binary and I'm very femme. Like, and so I would not be okay going back and forth. But I always told myself that I would. And I always told myself that I wasn't dysphoric, but I was. And, like, and the thing is like, that's the kind of stuff that you have to say. Now, like, and there's other things in there, like I think they said that they were like something about like, you know, they didn't say they've never thought about it before is the thing too. It's like, well, I'd be okay with it. First of all, I think it's important to like kind of define what being trans is, because I don't think we've touched on this. So have we touched on this at all, Lilith?
Nah, I don't consider myself an authority enough to give a definition of anything. You know me, I'm like, I know you have because you've got this thing where you have to have an authority or something like the final.
Yeah, I'm a real fucking taskmaster.
Yeah. No, I feel like, you know, like I'm a huge believer that gender is a spectrum and you can explore it to you want, and you can end up like me and Amanda here up on our end, on the femme end, and that's fine. And if you can,
the water's real nice.
It's so nice. But I also feel like it's definitely possible to live with your feet in both worlds and you might find joy in those things. And yeah, that's how. But like, do you have a definition? Do you have like a scroll down definition of being trans?
I absolutely do.
Okay.
Being trans is not cis. That's what trans is. It's everything that's not cisgender. And the reality of it is cisgender people don't talk like this. They don't think about it. They don't cisgender people uniformly don't ever cross these bridges. They're like, no, like I wouldn't even think of it. Like it's like if you're thinking about it, I mean, it's not universally true across the board because it is a confusing world that we live in, but like, and the power of suggestion is strong, but cis people, if a cis man's wife told him, I wish you were a woman, and you were like, oh, that might be nice. That ain't a cis man. That's not what a cis man does. Cis man would be like, oh no. That's what cis men do. And if you he could just be a cis man who's open to. And now here's the thing: is if you're non-binary, you know, you're transgender. Yes.
And so
if you're gender fluid, you're transgender.
I would say there's two parts to this. One, if this person is happy making these transitions, yes, he's transgender. That doesn't necessarily mean he needs to transition.
Right.
Right.
And that's the thing is like that's also what I was getting at is like initially what Lilith said, everything that Lilith said is just spot on. That's so the best thing you can do at this point is just explore.
Yeah.
Start. It's time to start trying things on. It's time to go shopping.
Oh, it'll be the most fun. It is the most fun.
This is an idea. This is just an ideal situation that you find yourself in. Like it's so beautiful. Like it's like when your wife brings it up. Like I can't tell you how many fantasies I had growing up where if someone else would just prompt me and get me there, there's just a little push that I needed. Because like me having to make that decision made me feel like I was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
yes. Because that reminds me of like, there was a huge thing, and it probably still is now, with like forced feminization. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's a thing,
but
it's not forced.
It's not forced.
It's just, you have your fears, and it'd be great. It'd be great if someone could help you over your fears, and that's all that is. And so,
that's what that
like I said, you know, you might be a person who wants to play with gender, and you're on that spectrum, and then technically, yes, I would say you're trans, but don't feel that being trans does not mean I have to start taking hormones. I have to start doing this. You're going to be. You don't have to do any of that. You're going to be you on your own terms, and you're going to have fun doing it. And
transgender doesn't mean that you have to be a trans woman. Like that's not what being trans means in this context. Yeah. It's like you don't have to do like Lilith just said. It's like you don't have to go on hormones at all. Like you can still be trans without going on HRT, without going on hormones. Like it's trans is just it's a state of being. It's like it's just like gender stuff. It's just how you I don't even like the word identify. Really, it's the best one. Because it's not how I identify. It's who I am. Like that's
I don't identify as shit.
I don't identify. Like it's like I
identify as a problem.
Yeah. But
you know what? Yeah. I really wish we had a way like to follow up with this person.
Oh God, I wish we did too. Because like You're at the beginning of like, the most fun time you've ever had. Like, this is just, it's just going to get so good. Your sex life is about to explode into like a cornucopia of awesome. Like, it is just going to be so much better. And maybe you'll find that you don't really like it all that much, but then you'll know. Then you'll know. That's not what you're going to find. You're going to find that you love it. And that the deeper you go down this rabbit hole,
Amanda,
the more you're going to be like, oh, shit.
Giving guarantees.
I am so sure of this. I recognize those words.
You know what?
I have said all that. I recognize there were so many little hints, little things, little box checkers that is just egg.
All right. I think before we give out any more guarantees and anything like that, it might be time.
I'm giving you the money back guarantee, 100%. 90-day trial period. I'm giving you a year, 365-day trial period. If you're not a trans woman, that's on me.
Man, someone else is going to end up owning this podcast by the end of the month. Like, we're going to lose everything.
No way! We've got Ted Cruz in our corner.
Yeah. We didn't even go over why Ted's not here today.
Why is Ted not here?
I don't even care why Ted's not here today. No one cares. He's like the least important part of this podcast. As much as he defends trans rights and stands up for trans people.
You know what he's actually doing for us? I'll bet he's out litigating and cleaning up our mess for us. Like the mess that we've made.
Yeah, all these cease and desist orders.
Ted's out cleaning it up. It's like, I can't believe those girls said that dumb shit. Oh, fuck. What have you done to me? Oh, don't you understand? We have laws. We're a nation of laws.
All right.
Not a fiat of men. I'm a Republican.
And with that, we've reached another glorious end to another glorious episode of Girl Dick with Ted Cruz. I've been Lilith Zarling.
I'm a man.
I was gonna do the throw. She's Amanda. But if you want to say your own name, you're a grown ass adult, sweetie. You can say
my name is Amanda Bonanza, and I'm very happy to have been here with you today. That was like that started out as like kind of sexy, and then it went into like weird.
Yeah, it got weird.
a little goofy.
I was so happy to be here with you today as well. And all our
sexy if I want.
Oh my gosh, you don't even have to try. Stop it. Stop it. Look at that eyebrow. Anyway, we are so glad you all joined us. Make sure to click like and subscribe and hit the bell icon or whatever you're supposed to do to make sure you can stay up with us. And you can also email us if you have questions or comments. We're always looking to improve the podcast. You can email us at girldickwithted@gmail.com and we'll get those and we'll be happy to chat with you in the future. Any last word?
We would love. I'm going to add that, but we would actually love to get some direct questions. We haven't yet, but I think we will soon.
Yeah.
And we would love to answer direct questions and help our actual listeners. That would be great. We would enjoy that. And I would hope that you would too.
I would.
But yeah.
All right.
Well, I was talking to the listeners. The royal you.
I thought you meant that you would enjoy it. You would hope that I would too. I would enjoy it.
I was speaking for the both of us.
Oh, okay.
And that was my first mistake. That was the first mistake I've ever made, ever.
No, it's true. It's true.
It's like, Pandora's box is open.
Babies.
That genie's out of the bottle now. Mistakes abound.
It has been so real, babies. I love talking to you and answering your questions. And Amanda and I both love you. And I love you, Amanda.
So good. Love you too, Lilith. And I love all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.